Hello and welcome to Force for Good's organic online event. My name is Rodney Wittenberg, and it is my honor and pleasure to be your technical host this evening. We are very excited with our first event here, and what I'd like to do right now. So I just want to remind everyone to keep your microphones muted so that we can hear all of the speakers and the music and all the things that people have to say. When it comes time for our Q&A, please type your questions in the chat, and our myself and our wonderful co-host Lisa will, who you'll meet a little bit later, will read out the questions or get them to Jonathan. And speaking of Jonathan, there would be no Force for Good without Jonathan, so I'd like to introduce to you the man who is the Force for Good. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan Sprouts.
Hi, everyone. The original, anyway, the originator of Force for Good, but we would not be who we are without a whole team of people, and I will introduce these people to you before the night is through. I just want to say a few words about what Force for Good is. We are a music and film company, and our byline is that we make music and films that make a difference. And I wanted to go over just a few of the subjects that we cover in our 24 films. Yes, for the last several years, we've been busy creating films based on the new age music that Joe Monona and I composed and recorded. And some of our major issues include combating climate change, homelessness, hunger, and pollution, promoting renewable energies, especially solar and wind energies, promoting gender and racial equality, and a compassionate solution to the worldwide refugee crisis. Our films are also helping to amplify the voices and uplift the lives of underprivileged and differently abled people. And finally, we consider ourselves advocates for the wilderness and for national parks, for healthy communities, for yoga practices, and for healthy eating, which ties in the reason for our event tonight. One of our 24 pieces is titled Organic, and it was created to help promote organic farming. And we have some very special guests with us tonight. Jonathan Snipes and Melanie Douty Snipes will be joining us on the other side of the film, but we thought we'd show you this, and I can tell you this with a lot of pride. This is a recipient of a Hollywood Gold Best Music Video Award from 2020. Rodney, let's play it. This is our film, Organic.
Organic food is simply food grown the way it used to be. Today, the majority of food crops are engineered with chemicals and sprayed with pesticides and herbicides. But organics are more nutritious and delicious, just the way nature intended. Eating organically grown food benefits our health. It's good for the people who eat it. It's good for the people who grow it. And it's good for the people who live downstream and downwind of the organic farms that grow it. Organic matter is the lifeblood of fertile, productive, healthy soil. And soil is the lifeblood of our planet. This piece is dedicated to the visionary farmers and hard-working laborers who grow and produce The most healthful foods, organic.
There you go, organic. And much of that footage was filmed at Snipes Farm, an education center. We're coming full circle here to be able to highlight the work of the great people at Snipes Farm. Very close friends of mine. I feel like a sort of a pseudo Snipes family member, if I may be so bold. So let me introduce two of my very favorite people, Jonathan Snipes and Melanie Douty Snipes. Welcome to the show, you two. Long time no see. We've got some questions I want to throw at you, and let's have a little conversation about organics. First of all, can you start with telling us a little bit about the farm, the history, and the mission of Snipes Farm and Education Center?
Sure. Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So it's a group effort, and I know other people involved, Snipes family members and employees are on the Zoom as well. My sister Susan and I think her husband Tom are here. And Gail Boyd and Victoria Lotzbaugh, Michelle Mullaney, Suzanne Luciano, our beekeeper. And there may be others, but this is definitely a group effort. And that's, that's what farming is about. We can't do it alone, and we can't do it with just people. We depend on the pollinators. And as the film showed, the richness of the soil and all the microorganisms that live in the soil. My favorite scene in your video, Jonathan, is above of the farm and the rainstorm sailing over that farm. And for anybody who's been without rain in a drought on a farm, that is real manna from heaven to have the water come down. So it's a group effort at Snipes Farm, and we're hoping that it goes beyond that it's also a community effort. So I'm delighted that we're highlighting our partnership with the Bucks County Emergency Homeless Shelter. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to get to that in a bit, but let's just focus more on organics, because Snipes Farm and Education Center has a lot of aspects to it. We could spend a long time tonight talking all about that, but just to focus again in organics, you have a CSA. Can you just pretend we don't know anything about organics? Why organics, and what are the benefits of going organic?
I'm going to actually ask Melanie to answer that, who's directing our education programs and touches on nutrition with all different age groups and populations.
Well, or as your film included, and Jonathan mentioned too, organic growing is, foundation of it is healthy soil. And Susan Snipes Wells, also here with us, works hard to build compost that helps to feed the soil. And I'm sure that Victoria would love to talk with us about other ways that we help to build healthy soil. But really, our diets are and our health and our spirits are enriched when we eat fresh food, and especially local fresh food, especially organic food, because we don't use pesticides, so our food is clean. And when the soil is healthy, the food is healthy, and we're healthy, and all those micronutrients go up into the food. And of course, when we eat a rainbow, it's such a cliche, but it is actually essential for us to eat a whole array of colors and types of food, because all the parts of us need all of those micronutrients to function at their highest level, their capacity. So, that's sort of it in a nutshell. It's just that conventional farming, which is such a silly word, when Jonathan, you mentioned, really conventional farming is organic farming. That is the way that people were farming for eons. Robs the soil of all of its nutrients, and then it erodes and covers everything with chemicals and stuff. And so the flip side of that is is this healthful, working alongside nature type of farming, where we're doing all that we can to be an earth-friendly farm for pollinators, a safe place for pollinators to do their hard work. And
I just want to add one thing that none of us, anybody on this call or anybody anywhere, is more than a few generations removed from people who are working the soil. So this is innate to us. And to eat really good food feels good. And when we eat it together, it's a communal experience. And we really want to spread that feeling that when people can grow their own food or harvest their own food and then just eat it, what a miracle is that? Mel has the experience of kids coming on educational programs and they're eating raw beans, they're eating fresh picked lettuce, and there's no like, ew, I don't want to try that. It's natural to us as human beings. We naturally come from the soil. We are connected.
Yeah, and I think of Michael Pollan, the author who has inspired me a lot, and probably more than anyone else inspired me to consider this topic for the film. And he talks about how organic farming is good for the people who live downwind and downstream of the farms. Conventional farming with all kinds of pesticides can pollute people who don't, who live downstream and downwind. So it's pretty inclusive, organic farming. So how about, we were just talking about this as we were sort of going through our rehearsal. Some people live in very tight apartments with very little ground. And I'm wondering if there's something that people can grow that you can tell us, grow organically, potted things, something that you can stick on a wall and water regularly. Do you guys have any experience with that? Is there something you could recommend?
Sure. If Victoria is somewhere in the Zoom, Victoria is our lead farmer, Victoria Lotsbaugh, and I think she's the perfect person to answer that. Victoria or Susan Snipes Wells, if you're out there somewhere.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Uh, all right, so growing in small spaces is actually a lot of fun. There are fewer weeds to deal with. If you're growing things inside, if you're in an apartment and you don't even have a balcony, you could grow potted herbs or microgreens or sprouts on your windowsill. If you just have a balcony, then there are lots of patio tomatoes, peppers, lettuce that you can be growing in window boxes and pots. A small yard, well, depending on how good your soil is, if you've got 8 hours, well, 6 to 8 hours of sun a day, you can grow almost any vegetable you'd like. If you've never grown anything before, my suggestion is start with something you know you like. If you've never eaten a beet before, yes, they are really easy to grow, but yeah, but you might not be that excited about it if you don't know what it is. So start with something easy that you know you'll eat, lettuce, tomatoes, or a piece of cake. Does that help?
Great, that's wonderful. Yeah, I think of tomatoes too. I think of a lot of people, I've seen all kinds of cherry tomatoes growing in pots on people's decks, and I'm sure that could work indoors too. What about some of the other aspects of Snipes Farm and Education Center? Melanie, you, as Jonathan said, you work a lot with the education aspect of the farm and the camp. You've mentioned to me some amazing stories about these kids, and tell us about that kid who grew a, what was it, a big pickle or a squash or something, and he carried it around with him for a long time because he was so proud of it. What are some of these experiences you've had with some of the kids in the camp. And tell us a little bit about that.
So I would say that the cornerstone of our education programs is that nature is our main teacher. Our farm is a campus, and we have woods and a creek and fields and an orchard, our own garden, and some chickens that we take care of, and some bunnies, and 2 adorable goats, and some quail. And so whatever we do is hands-on, it's real, and the kids know it primally. They just do. I mean, they have seeds in their hands. Seeds are beautiful, they're amazing, and each one, and this is Kayla. So Kayla has been a friend of ours for many years, and it was just thrilling for her. I just remember the moment when she picked that cucumber. And that happens again and again and again. There's just these delightful, real things that happen, whether you're holding a chicken or collecting the egg, or feeding the animals, or in the woods and you find a salamander, or just the other day, we had a brand new program that we launched this week, which is the LEAF program, Leading Empowering Action on Farm and Forest. And it's primarily a homeschool program, but we are going to include after-school sessions as well. And it's a year-round hands-on learning program using the entire farm. And so that's really exciting to us in terms of expanding to all the seasons and not being daunted by winter. Especially our winters are warmer now. And so that actually avails, very, very pleasant environment for learning in January. Our summer camp is probably our most impactful program, because we do have kids for, many hours of a day and 5 days a week. And in some cases, we have kids with us for the whole summer. We've been really blessed to have with us some children who are residents from the Bucks County Emergency Homeless Shelter. And so because our Snipes Farm and Education Center programs are farming, education, and fundraising to enable our food to reach people in need, our education programs to reach low-income schools, and to raise money for camp scholarships. Our camp is really a camp for everyone. And so we love it. We cook, we take care of animals, we take care of our garden, we're splashing the creek. And it's just full of life, full of joy, full of friendship.
You take care of a lot of kids who would not otherwise be able to go to camp. You are, I can say this, you're a very philanthropic organization. And that kind of ties into the last question I wanted to ask, and that's about your relationship with the homeless shelter in Bucks County. I love this story about how you have helped the homeless shelter, and people from the homeless shelter have been able to come to camp, and then there's a garden at the homeless shelter. Can you just elaborate a little bit on that?
Murielle's going to speak.
Okay, so yes, it has become a very holistic program where our farm food reaches the cafeteria and children come to us. But 2 years ago, we had a chance, through the support of the Danaher Lynch Family Foundation, to put in a small garden. And then because of the pandemic, we weren't able to go in for the second year until July. And it was, because it was quite a heartbreaking summer for us to have summer camp canceled, when we had a chance to go in to put the garden in on 4th of July weekend, it was, just a kind of a crazy, like, we had to reclaim the garden, it was quite a jungle. And we just, I had my whole car full of plants. It took several trips of soil and different things. And and these amazing residents, and I, just worked for several days in a row, and we got it planted, and we just stood back and we were like, whoa, because it had been so full of weeds, and we knew, we had done it together. And it was really one of the joys, probably of all the years that I've ever done this work, was to be there together, making a miracle happen in the midst of a pandemic and stuff. Um, so it's really just lovely. And Murielle's been so supportive and encouraging, and we're so grateful that we can be together on this road.
Yeah. So again, for those of you who on the call tonight who aren't familiar, it's the Bucks County Emergency Homeless Shelter I believe it's in Levittown. The town is officially Levittown, Pennsylvania,
Yes.
just north of Philadelphia. And we happen to have with us here tonight the director, Murielle Kelly. And so, Murielle, welcome. And we're honored to have you on the call, and wonder if you could just say a little bit about the shelter.
Yes, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you everyone for being on this call and for supporting the shelter. So when we talk about volunteers, ambassadors like you guys are ambassadors. So our Bucks County Emergency Homeless Shelter is open all year round. We serve about 75 residents each night. In a given year, it's about 500 residents. Well, because of COVID, things look a little bit more different. We've had to move half of the residents over to a hotel to be able to promote social distancing. We're actually serving more residents now. We're up in the 90 residents, and 30% of those residents are actually kids. So nutrition is a really big part of what we do. We do not serve any cereal that have over 6 grams of sugar. Each meals, I'm serious, each meals have come with fruits and vegetables. It takes more than just one person to do what we do. So aside from the number of volunteers that we've had, over 250 volunteers back in 2019, it's a little bit different now because of COVID, but it takes about a team of 30 staff. We're open 24 hours. And we do more than just shelter, though. It's more than just a shelter. We provide employment services, helping to increase income, helping clients to connect to mental health services, whether it's drug and alcohol, whether it's making sure that they meet all of their different needs so that they can move to permanent housing. So it's more than just a cot and meals, but meals is definitely a big focus. And as Jonathan and Melanie describe, many of our kids each summer get to go to summer camp, and many times that this is their first time they've been to summer camp, and it's free of charge. Parents sometimes are hesitant for them to go, but once the kids go, they absolutely love the summer camp. It's outdoors, something they think they probably would not have liked. And once they go, I'm telling you, they do not want to stop going. So our relationship goes ways back. We actually have the chef's garden. And so we actually have a chef at the shelter who actually go out and pick from the garden, whether it's the cucumbers, the herbs, the chives, and the mints, and he uses them in his cooking. So again, I thank all of you for being here and supporting this cause, because it goes a long way. And the wait list for the shelter doesn't go away. It constantly increases. So the need is always there. So thank you again for inviting me to be here and for your support.
Yeah, we're really excited that we're able to do this. And I noticed someone had posted in the chat, maybe it was Michelle, Jonathan, and Melanie, maybe Michelle, that at the start of this call a half hour ago, so far $680 had been donated to Snipes Farm to provide food for the homeless shelter just through this event. And I want to encourage all of you to consider making a donation. Obviously, to sign up for this was free. We thought at one point about charging $10 to sign up, but then we thought, no, We'll let you get in for free, and then we'll beg for $10 from each of you. And all of it goes 100% to the homeless shelter. No one takes a cut. Every penny of your donation goes to this cause. So thanks so much, Murielle, for joining us. I'm trying to be very time conscious. I know we all have busy lives, and I don't want to run too much past 8 o'clock. So we were thinking now to answer questions. And Rodney mentioned at the start that if you have a question, and we hope you have lots of questions, just to write them in the chat box. And our dear publicity person, Lisa Gage, will read them off. So Lisa, do we have any chats any questions or comments that you want to bring up?
Well, Danny just asked the question of, can you put the link in? And that actually is in the chat. So if everybody looks at the comment from Michelle, the link to donate is right there. The right under where it says $680.
And
that was the first question.
We have your email address, I think, I'm pretty sure. So we can make sure to do a follow-up email to everyone attending with the link and all that information.
People say they don't see the link. This is interesting. That's weird.
We do see it at the top of the chat window.
The first.
Yeah. Well, actually, Michelle just posted it again. If you see it now, just say yes, and then.
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Danny.
Got it.
Hi.
Good. They got it. Excellent. Okay. So, well, the first question here is, tell us about the chickens.
Oh, Cluckingham Palace.
Oh, sorry. Victoria, do you want to say something about Cluckingham Palace, where the chickens live?
Okay, sure. We have about, 150 chickens right now. They are layers. We do have a lot of old girls in there to keep our newer girls company at the moment who are not laying. But they're doing pretty well this winter since it's a fairly mild winter. They are fed organic, soy-free feed, and they are pastured. And the eggs are delicious. We are getting some new layers in the spring. We've ordered 100 we need to go pick up the end of April. They will be ready to lay pullets, 17 weeks old. So we are looking forward to a lot of eggs late spring.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And you can visit our website and sign up for an egg share. You can sign up for a vegetable share. You also can sign up for an egg share.
And I'll just say too that Cluckingham Palace is just a converted trailer that's movable. And one of the really important relationships on an organic farm is between animals and plants. So wherever the chickens have lived, of course, there's beautiful nitrogen that they've left behind. And so chickens feed the soil and they feed us. And so we can actually move that across all of the pastures. And so that's just wanted to put that little plug in for soil fertility connected to our beautiful chickens.
Great. Okay, here's a question from Robin, who says, I have a garden, but can you buy vegetables without being part of the CSA?
I'll pass that to Victoria as well.
Yes, you can. We have a market on the farm during the winter time. It's the second and fourth Saturday of every month from 9:30 to 12:30. Once the main season hits in May, it will be every Saturday.
Great. Okay, and here's a question from Jenny Childs. What type of food is needed for the shelter? That's a question from Murielle, I guess.
So at the shelter, depending on the needs, we'll take canned food, we'll take fruit and vegetable, of course, from lettuce to tomatoes to fresh fruits. So depending on what we need at the time, we'll take meats, lunch meat to make sandwiches for people going to work. So just depending on what we need at that time. So if someone called, I can tell you exactly what we need at that time. We also have a wish list on the website that tells you of the ongoing needs and what's urgent right now.
Murielle, can people drop these things off at the shelter?
Yes, absolutely. We accept donations 24 hours a day, preferably doing business hours is preferred because we have more staff to receive it. We have a donation receiving area, so just give us a call or stop by.
Yeah, and Muriel, can you type the website into the chat box? I'm not sure if everyone got that.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, here's a nice comment from Leslie that says, this isn't a question, but I just want to commend the wonderful work all of you are doing. And then there's another question here from Julie, and it's kind of a philosophical question, but I would actually like to hear Jonathan explain a little bit about the history of Snipes and how you came to be what you are today, because I had interviewed him for publicity reasons, and the history is really fascinating. So the question here from Julie is, why are there not more organic farms? And I thought maybe you could give a little perspective on that.
Thanks for the question. Well, I think there are more organic farms every day. And I know the number of small farms in our local area, just in Bucks and Montgomery County in the last 10 to 15 years, has really increased. I think there's a huge interest in local food and organic food. Not all the small local farms are certified organic, but many of them practice organic methods even though they're not certified. We felt it was important to be certified, so we did that. But yeah, what was the rest of the question?
Well, I just thought it would be cool if you might share a little bit about the history of your family and the farm and how you started as a farm and eventually morphed into this nonprofit farm and education center.
In 1685, if I may jump in, if I'm not mistaken. That's a long time ago.
Well, I'll just say real briefly that we owe it all to my grandmother, Jane Moon, then who became Jane Moon Snipes. She was only child, single woman, taking over this farm in about 1912. And in 1918, she married my grandfather, Edgar Snipes, from North Carolina. So the Snipes name is actually not a Bucks County name. The name is Moon. And my sister, who's on the call, is Susan Moon Snipes. So she carries that name. And when my sister Sue and I took over the farm in around 2000, the end had come for our nursery. It had been many generations of a nursery business. And with the arrival of Home Depot and Lowe's and other places that were producing plants and shrubs on a massive scale, we really couldn't compete with that. And we thought, what is it that we can offer to the community? And as my sister Sue said, the least creative thing we could do would be to sell and have another shopping mall or something. So we decided to launch the idea of a small farm, eventually organic, growing veggies, and having an opportunity for the land to become a haven for the community. The land being used for the greatest good, as Melanie likes to say. And so we gradually created this nonprofit organization, and we're able to create a summer camp, and we're able to create programs for adults. And the dream was really to keep the farm open and green. The land was put into farmland protection and open space protection through Bucks County and the Natural Lands Trust. because we wanted to guarantee as a family that the land would always be here. So that's in perpetuity. This land preservation and restriction on the land that it can't be sold for development is in perpetuity. But we really hope that it's not, this is, our dream was never to have a family compound or something, but to have this really be a community farm, open to the community, with a vision to have events and employ local people, and also partner with organizations like the Homeless Shelter or the Interfaith Food Alliance in Morrisville, or Rolling Harvest that gleans food around Bucks County, many organizations, and very generous donors in the local community that support the nonprofit work we do. So that's our evolution to creating a nonprofit. And each year it's a little bit different. COVID was very strange, but I think it all brought us back down to the essentials. And one of the essentials is our health and good food. I just want to say one story about the connection with the homeless shelter. I went over to the shelter one day to make a food delivery, and I pulled up this little boy on a bicycle right in the front of the shelter. This was before COVID, when we could see who we were looking at. We weren't all masked. And he said, "Hey, I know you." He looked stunned. And he said, "What are you doing here? You're from Snipes Farm." "Well, I'm here bringing some food." And he said, "Tell Farmer Mel," that's Melanie, "tell Farmer Mel I'm coming back to camp next week." And I said, "Okay, I'll definitely tell her that." And then I went to deliver food to the kitchen, and I could see through the kitchen into the dining area. And there were two children standing at the counter for food who I had just seen at summer camp. So it was just a great feeling to know that, you know, we're all in this together. Each organization is playing a part. And the part that we can play is to offer this land that we have and the tradition of growing and the experience of growing food.
Great. Wow, there's a bunch of more questions here, so we'll try and go through them quickly with time in mind. From Steve, it says, "It looked like there were hydroponics in the film. Are you doing this on the farm? And if so, do you find it promising for city farming?"
We don't do hydroponics. That was a clip from another farm. We have not done that here. We're still hands in the dirt.
Yeah.
That's right. Very perceptive of you, Steve. There was some lettuce that looked like it was hydroponically grown. A clip from a different farm. Yeah.
Okay. And from Caitlin, I'm loving learning about the farm and the shelter and how to support it. Curious though, if we don't live in Bucks County, what would any of our hosts recommend? I'm not sure what you mean. Recommend for what?
If I
Well,
could,
again, there's always money. Money that goes to this cause translates into food for the homeless shelter.
and I would also add that wherever you are, there's probably a local farm close to you. In urban areas, there are urban farms, and all these places need support. They need you to buy their local products. They need you to volunteer. They need you to donate. And there are many ways to give back in that way. We're so grateful for Foundation's Community Partnership and Friends Rehabilitation Project and the Trenton Health Team and many organizations that partner with us in the work that we do, and individuals as well. And that those kind of networks are needed everywhere. We need this kind of grassroots from the bottom up support.
Yeah. Okay. This is from Terry, can we plant in the spring? I'm helping to plant with the Boys and Girls Club's gardens. Can we purchase plants from you, I guess?
Yeah, Victoria, can you answer that?
Yes, we will have plants for sale. They will be at our Saturday market, and they will be for sale when it is time to plant them. So we will have some cool weather things a little earlier, and then around the beginning of May, we will have the usual tomato, peppers, eggplants, marigolds. and everything I can possibly grow.
Mhm.
Here's
Fun
one
for
more
various herbs.
from Leslie. Do you supply the local grocery stores?
No, we do not. In order to have our food at a supermarket, we would have to sell it wholesale, and we get retail prices at our farm market.
Yeah, I was
So
actually going to just mention the farmers market because I've seen you guys at the downtown Yardley farmers market, and I know you have your own. But I was wondering, do you have a presence at other farmers markets in the area?
no, it's all we can do to provide for our CSA members, our market, and all of our partnerships.
Okay.
It was new for us in 2020 to start our own market on the farm, as the Yardley Farmers Market had closed down for a while due to COVID.
Mhm.
So we thought, why not invite folks to Snipes Farm, and we'll just do the market right here. And while families are visiting, they can go and visit the animals and walk the farm and get outside safely during COVID. So we'll keep our market, and we'll keep the opportunity for folks to come get their veggies and their other products that we have, and then also visit the animals and be able to stroll the beautiful grounds.
That sounds great. Well, I'm conscious of time, so I think what I will do though is read these nice comments here. This is from Lori Hopman. The market at Snipes is great because it's open and physically distancing easily. And Susan says the organic plants I purchased from you this year did remarkably well in my garden and were absolutely delicious. And here's the best question of all. Let's stop with this. What help do you need from volunteers?
Murielle?
Yeah, Murielle.
Oh, you're muted. There you go.
So for volunteers, we can have volunteers help us serve in the kitchen. We can have volunteers help us in our pantry, organizing, sorting. We can even have volunteers help us in our chef's garden. Hopefully, once we up and running, we can have more people come in. We can have volunteers help us do bedtime reading to our kids. So there's a host of different things that we need volunteers for, but our most popular ones are helping to serve in the kitchen, organizing, pantry, and just helping hands-on with our kids.
And there are also volunteer opportunities at the farm. There's weed teams. Love weed teams to come and help us stay on top of our fields, crops growing in the field. There's really many things to do to get ready for camp. There's painting and campus prep and we have to do things differently this year for summer camp. So like we have to get art project kits together ahead of time. We're going to have to just organize, keeping our camp groups separate. So, that really, if you're interested in coming to the farm and connecting your interests and skills to our needs, we would love to take you for a farm walk, and we'll take it from there.
And just to add, our kids at the shelter goes to the farm to Snipes summer camp for free. And so summer camp is pretty expensive. And so at any given time, we can have between 10 to 15 kids, if not more, at the summer camp for free. So I'm sure the Snipes summer camp can definitely use help in any way that they're probably asking you.
Yes, certainly camp scholarship is needed. And if you have any organizations who you think might want to sponsor a camper or two or three, or a civic organization that might be interested, please, you can just email info@snipesfarm.org.
I'd also like to add that our board members at the farm and our committee members are also volunteers. And if anyone has interest in thinking of serving on a committee, we have we have a committee that looks at the renovation of the campus, committees, all the committees you can imagine that any nonprofit organization has. And Lori Hopman just made a comment earlier, and she is president of our board, and we are so grateful to the hard work of our board members, our committee members, our donors, and just so many people. We could not do this by ourselves, and we're just so grateful. So volunteers, if you think that not just hands-on, but you also might be interested in serving on a committee or on our board, we'd be happy to know you.
Well, this is wonderful. Snipes Farm is an oasis, and I'm so glad that we could focus a little attention on the great things that the farm is doing and the great things that the homeless shelter is doing. Again, just being time conscious, close to wrapping it up, a couple of important things here. I want to acknowledge the team members of Force for Good. And I'm not sure, Rodney, we're all sort of practicing this for the first time. We're all, if you haven't already figured it out, this is our guinea pig experience here. We're trying to figure it all out. But if there's a way we can highlight each of our team members, Rodney, including you, I just want to introduce Lisa Gage was the one. There you go. Look at this. We're professionals. Lisa was the one asking the questions. She's doing publicity. She's based in Yardley. Leslie Chu, a friend of mine from 1980, former band member who is a co-visionary and a recording engineer, musician, based in Los Angeles, California. One of the few who does not have COVID.
So
Hillary,
far.
Yeah. Hillary Black is here also somewhere.
I'm with Leslie.
She's on the call with me.
Okay. Well, let's see you. Come on, come on.
I'm here.
We're in here.
Also, co-visionary and the editor of our wonderful newsletters. Hillary is just the voice of reason in a lot of what we do. Rodney Wittenberg is my audio or my visual partner. It's his fault that we spent 800 hours making videos when I originally went to him 3 or 4 years ago and I said, I want to make some simple videos. It'll cost me like, what, 2 hours of studio time per song, right? And Rodney goes, yeah. And we've since averaged, I think it's 40 hours per song, or maybe it's 25, but it's inordinate to make these elaborate videos. And so we also have another member who is not here with us who has helped a lot with the audio, and that's Joe Monona. He's done a tremendous amount of work. So this is our team, ever growing, ever expanding. We have a lot of causes that we stand up for. Being good is nice. Doing good is better. Uplifting the doers of good is best. And that's my motto for Force for Good. And today we have done what we could do to uplift Snipes Farm and to uplift the homeless shelter. And we intend to do this every month, possibly every other month, depending on how successful we feel after tonight. And with a different cause and a whole bunch of different charities. And next month, on the 21st of February, we will be focusing on a piece called Homeless. And we have a film that will be premiering on February 1st called Homeless, the first film from our new album, which is called Innocence, which debuts, releases February 1st in a couple weeks. And Homeless is all about, well, on any given night in America, 500,000 Americans are homeless. And I don't know about you, but I think that's just a sin. And we are trying to do what we can do to highlight organizations and individuals who are doing good things to combat homelessness. So that's our next topic, homelessness. And we'll be focusing part of our story on Elvis Summers, who is a dynamic, wonderful guy I met in Los Angeles who builds tiny homes for the homeless people. We filmed him in the film that you'll see on February 1st, and we will be interviewing him. And hopefully another homeless charity that we haven't gotten involved with yet. So let's see, what else? How about Jonathan and Melanie? Are there any things that you want to talk about that you are, upcoming events, something that you want to mention that's in the future for Snipes Farm?
Yeah, just real briefly, we have a new program for children on the farm that Melanie could describe real quickly.
Yes, I mentioned it a few minutes ago, but just this last week, we launched the LEAF program, Leading Empowering Action on Farm and Forest, which is, year-round education, using the farm as a campus. And then we also have exciting programs for adults or families. We're going to have actually Suzanne Luciano, who's been with us this evening. She is a beekeeper with her husband Michael, and she's going to be doing a 3-part basic beekeeping class this winter. And we also have Charlotte Snipes Wells, and she's an herbalist. She has her garden here, and she is going to be teaching us seasonal herbal growing and foraging and how to make tinctures and salves. And we're going to have a seasonal cooking class with a fabulous local chef, Chef Anwar Rashid. So there's a lot of those kinds of classes, plus a nice Earth Day event coming up, and then just coming to our market every second and fourth Saturdays. You can always walk the farm. So that's sort of an ongoing opportunity. So we're excited about 2021. Holds a lot of promise.
And these all these things will be getting onto our website. Give us a few days to get on the ground and get everything up on our website in terms of our calendar. But we're looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, if you like us on Facebook, Facebook is going to have all of our events loaded on there.
And the website address again?
Is snipesfarm.org.
Great. Lisa, am I forgetting anything? Are we able to wrap up? I'm seeing 8 o'clock here.
I think you covered everything. You might want to just mention the CD, what is on it. People may not understand exactly what's represented on the CD.
Yeah, this is an audio, no lyric, great study music, great quiet music, great yoga music, great meditation music album, new age music that is called Innocence. And it's got an hour of music. It's all original. And I would categorize it as romantic classical, piano-based music. So it's the second of our albums. We have another one that
hey, Jonathan?
Somewhere out of sight called Passions. And this is the second one. Passions was just released a year ago. This is our second album, Force for Good. So we will be all over Spotify and Napster and Amazon and iTunes and where else, Rodney? We'll be everywhere.
Well, Jonathan, also, did you ask Melanie if there's anything coming up at the homeless shelter? Are there any events coming up?
Murielle, anything at the homeless shelter?
No, we're restricting events right now. We're taking volunteers, single volunteers, no group. Just watching to see how COVID kind of span out. For now, we're just monitoring. We've been safe so far, so we want to keep things safe. So no events yet.
Okay. And looks like we've gotten a number of requests to play the video again. So when you're ready, we'll play out with the organic video one more time.
Great. And thanks all for joining us. We'll see you February 21st. Come back, tell all your friends about it. We want to max out on the possible number. So come back and we'll solve the world's homeless problems.
Okay.
Thanks for being.
Organic food is simply food grown the way it used to be. Today, the majority of food crops are engineered with chemicals and sprayed with pesticides and herbicides. But organics are more nutritious and delicious, just the way nature intended. Eating organically grown food benefits our health. It's good for the people who eat it. It's good for the people who grow it. And it's good for the people who live downstream and downwind of the organic farms that grow it. Organic matter is the lifeblood of fertile, productive, healthy soil. And soil is the lifeblood of our planet. This piece is dedicated to the visionary farmers and hard-working laborers who grow and produce the most healthful foods, organic.